Have you really had a summer if you have not experienced or watched a super hot gal or gals overcome some insurmountable summer experience? I'm talking Jaws, like a wave, blue crush, a great white shark, even. Yeah, I don't think so, bitch. That's why today we are discussing The Reef Stalked with its star. You may recognize this little lady from the Vampire Diaries with Teresa Leanne. So, Teresa, thank you for joining us on Cancel Me Baby from Down Under. We're going to talk about all this as we can in 15 minutes. But I want to tell you, you are in great company because my audience, I have some dedicated Aussie listeners. And I just love how you guys, I feel like you guys are so much more fun. Like, we're so uptight here. Like, I used to date an Aussie. Like, you are in good company because obviously with my show, I poke fun at like the uptight, canceling culture, right? So, you're in good hands. I just feel like you guys, you just have more fun down under. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I've definitely met some fun people in the States. So it's a mix, but thank you.
Yes. So first things first, before we get into kind of like the fun, hot girl theme, but like taking on, with the resilience too, going on, taking on a shark. I don't know about you, but I feel like this movie speaks to me and so many people because like a bitch just can't catch a break. It is literally one thing after the next. So can you speak to that? I mean, really, like kind of like that metaphor of how we're all right now in a little bit of survival mode. We're all in our own life raft. We're all a little bit desperate. Speak to that because it's real.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that take on it for sure, because I think even when I was reading the script, so I got it start of 2021, it had been already all of 2020. And so living
I was going to ask.
Yeah, well, it's funny. There were so many things that I think fed into my kind of understanding of the script and also what I could bring to it, because I think all of us are in this sort of still raw emotional stage of what we've been through and are still going through at the moment. It's like, basically, I think most people's lives got kind of turned upside down in 2020, and we're still sort of piecing things together and seeing how they make sense.
And there's something about this movie, I'm watching it, and it's almost like you do what you have to do and you don't even think about it, right? It's like, I feel like we're all kind of in that scenario. And it's just like in this movie, it's like you think that they're done and it's just like the hits just keep on coming. And, so I'm sure you tapped into really feeling like, I'm going to talk about like the visceral experience of it all and the physicality, but I'm sure there's a part of you that felt really kind of badass tapping into that and that idea, right, of kind of like overcoming in that resilience, right?
Well, yeah, so I think it's one of those, I did get pulled up a couple of times on set basically saying, don't go too superhero mode on this, because it's basically remembering that you're dealing with things as they're happening. And it's not like, oh, great, instant, like, I know what to do. It's actually like kind of like in real life where you're kind of just saying, okay, what do I have in front of me? What can I do? What's the next step? I can't think beyond that. And that's actually something that I think really shows how she thinks through the film. And again, pretty much how we all kind of are. It's just doing what we can with what we have.
Have you felt, Teresa, like that throughout? I mean, you said basically you guys started this in the thick of it all. Even like coming out of it now, so to speak. I mean, how like in what ways do you feel a little bit again, like this is getting like deep, no pun intended, but on, on that life raft sort of like, oh, there goes my hat, on that life raft, kind of like in survival mode right now?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just kind of trying to find a place of appreciation for what I do have right now and just remembering that. And I think, I don't know, through lockdowns, but also just in general, I think the last couple of years have really helped me to focus on the things that do matter to me, because I'm not sure how, extreme it got for you, but for me, it was basically like everything was kind of just stopped. And so I kind of, and it's that forced thing of, okay, well, without that, who am I? What makes me happy? And that's kind of where I feel like I'm sort of just functioning from, which I always did have that sort of, the gratitude thing and all of that, like it's real for me. But now it's almost like I have it more at the forefront of my mind of even just the simple things make me really happy. And as long as I have that and that balance, trying to make sure I keep the balance, I think that's really how I find myself being the happiest.
I mean, it's one thing, obviously, kind of the talking point and buzzy thing here in the States was like, look how like locked down and controlled it is in Australia. Like, are they okay? Oh my God, it's so extreme. But beyond that, I talk about this on my show all the time, being a creative entrepreneur like yourself, like an actress, we're always in survival mode. Like it's always, what's that next thing? What, right? Like it is always the grind. And I can imagine even for you, even after being on a show like The Vampire Diaries, which is huge, it's constantly like, you hear like the Angelina Jolie, so like, they're like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? So there's always that little bit of like, survival and desperation in what we do. I joke all the time on the show. I'm like, I think we're just a bunch of martyrs in this business because, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there is that element to it for sure, where it's looking to the next thing. And it's just like, what am I doing if not that next thing? But I think, trying to bring it back to just remembering that, we're just as full and existing as when we're not working. I think that's kind of what keeps me pretty grounded.
Yeah. And it's kind of like what you just said about this shoot. It's like literally taking it step by step, right? Like not going ahead of yourself being like, I got all this, but it's actually a step-by-step thing in real life. Did you guys where did you shoot? Because you are like, I would be doggy paddling for like, you are in the deep, like you are in water this whole time. Was it like a soundstage situation or you're rogue out there?
No, that probably would have, maybe looking back, some of the filmmakers may wish that it was a soundstage, but no, we were out in the middle of the ocean for like pretty much all the shoot. There were really just like, we had like 1 or 2 days, one day actually, where we just got a few little inserts that they needed that were in more of an enclosed space, but it was 5-6 weeks of just being out on the actual water and in the kayaks. Yeah, long days.
Well, speaking a little bit to what I kind of teased earlier, because here on my show, and even, I'm an entertainment journalist. I was out on red carpets at award shows. Like I never asked what everyone was asking. I asked like what we actually want to know, what we're talking about. So with that being said, the visceral experience, right? Like we see you and a group of girls out here literally like fighting for your lives because you're getting stalked by this great white, but we're watching it and you are all like gorgeous and fit. And like, that's what I mean about the power, right? Like we're watching, we're like, look at these hot chicks, like holding their own.
That's really nice of you to say. I think that was, what I liked about this particular film was that it felt like, we were basically like not wearing makeup and just kind of, it was more focusing on their ability rather than them being hot chicks in bikinis. I love that we actually got like, we're mostly covered, and like that kind of reality to it was something that I really loved.
That dichotomy again of like being, pleasing to the eye, but also being able, it's not you're the helpless, flailing bimbo. It's like, no, it's like you're resilient and can hold your own, and like the power in that, which is also themes I talk about on my show all the time. With that said though, okay, contrary to what you just said, you're like, I kind of like that they're in like the life vest and they're covered up and it's not like gratuitous over the top. So I feel like this is, in our society, we are getting over the top. So I wanted your take on this because on your Instagram, like you have a bikini shot or two and it's very like girl next door, beautiful, like sun-kissed Australian. It's not like the over the top. So recently I had a few listeners send me this viral meme and I wanted your take on it because I'm like, this fits perfectly. So I don't know if you saw this, maybe you did. It says, every swimsuit for women now is like, okay, you must feel comfortable showing your entire ass, have absolutely no vulva, and know how to tie the most advanced sailor knot around your torso. Also, it's $90 just for the bottoms. So I wanted your take on that and how, are they as extra down in Australia? Your take on it,
Yeah. There's definitely, I mean, I think it's like anywhere, you know, it's a mix, and it's going to take all types just that are going out into the world. So I really like that when I see out here, there are obviously certain beaches that people go to be seen. I don't go to those. I prefer to just kind of be out there, and it's kind of taken time for me, you know, like as I'm sort of like, I guess, going through the years of actually just being happy, being out there as I am. And it's, yeah, I don't necessarily feel the need to like show everyone everything, but also if I want a tan, I'm probably going to need to wear something slightly minimal, but I'm not going out there to be seen.
What do you think it is about that, like say that viral post, right? That struck a chord with so many women, especially right now, it's the summer, we're being ambushed with like girls in bikinis, right? What do you think about it is, you know, why so many people would send it to me, right?
It's what we're seeing every day. You know, I even feel like being on social media, it's something that I really try to not do too much of, because I just feel like we're being bombarded just as much as we say we're getting further ahead with, like, you know, how women see themselves, and in the media it's still, if anything, even more accessible now, because you can't help but find yourself scrolling sometimes, and time passes and you don't even realize how much you've been on there. And I think just that constant imagery, you can't help but feel sometimes that you need to somehow measure up to that. And there is a danger in that, and I'm not sure where or how we start to try and maybe pull back, or at least make this kind of extra awareness kind of happen, of people realizing that, I don't know, it doesn't need to be perfect. You know, life doesn't need to be perfect. And it would be great if there is even more kind of real representation happening soon. I would love to see that.
You know, it's funny that you talk about the power in this movie of seeing you guys natural, because and my listeners know this, something that I've been kind of playing around with is my own power of my physicality, right? And what I have to offer. And something that I've been playing around with lately, this sounds silly, but it's actually not. It is very powerful. And case in point right now is going braless. And I bring that up because, like, out in public, because I like seeing how it makes me feel, how it makes other people feel. And to your point about that natural aspect, I feel like there's something very kind of like womanly and empowering about that. And I feel like it just made me step into a whole new power. And I don't know about you, and if you have any things like attributes that you purposefully play up to feel confident, but it feels like such a contrast and such a like contrived, superficial social media world you're talking about, you know?
Yeah. I can't think off the top of my head if there is something specific that I do, but I definitely think that anything that you kind of walk out in and you feel like you're sort of walking more in your own sort of shoes, or, you know, really actually owning your body and not worrying about what other people are thinking, or what they think they have the right to think about you based on how you look, or any of that. I think anything that makes you feel that way is definitely worth doing. And I always try to make sure that I'm dressing now, even just like, you know, day to day, especially here in Melbourne, it's winter right now. And I'm just like, I'm not worrying about what other people are thinking of me. It's about how I feel. And as long as I can walk around and kind of know that I'm a good person and I'm out there just doing my best, I think that's all we should be doing.
But you look beautiful. You have, even for the winter, I would be straight up like Diane Keaton and some like frumpy turtleneck, and you have like the off the shoulder, the necklaces, like you look beautiful. So don't sell yourself short, because
this is definitely for this exact purpose. I will be going back to sweatpants post interviews.
Like I'll be my Snuggie in T-2 minutes. I don't know if you guys have those. I don't even know if they're here anymore in the States.
No, we do. And hoodies are big here. I'm not sure if that's the same word there. Just basically just a giant hoodie that goes right down to like your ankles. Like they're super popular here. I'm keeping it pretty cozy through the winter. This is definitely just for this.
I don't blame you. Live your life if it's what you have to do. So I want to pick your brain too about, I know I have to wrap in a minute, but it's kind of what I teased at before. It's what I teased at earlier, is this kind of like trope in horror films. And this one isn't like you said, it's not gratuitous and over the top, but it's that idea again of like beautiful women. Like I know that this movie pays ode in some ways to Jaws. And in the opening scene of Jaws, you literally see this like gorgeous naked woman being killed by Jaws, right? And I feel like we see it time and time again, like and even like I know what you did last summer, like Jennifer Love Hewitt, right? You know what I mean? Over and over. Even Scary Movie, like they make fun of it with Carmen Electra, all this. So
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I feel like there's not like, what is it about that? Like, what is it about seeing? Is it what we were talking about? Seeing like the beautiful woman also kind of like have the strength and overcome? Like, yeah, we can have it all. Like, what is it about that that makes it like entertaining and timeless? Like, in my mind, there's nothing wrong with it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it depends on also like how it's sort of put together, and like the visuals. I think in Jaws is that thing of like the girl in the very, very skimpy bikini, which is something that like I was very strong about, like even going into it, not knowing what they had in mind. I was like, I don't want that for this,
Right.
if this is something I was to do. I think it's a weird combination of, I don't know, not trying to kind of do too much to go against, basically like, yeah, if you feel strong and great in, you know, who you are and what you're doing, do you need to kind of hide that just so that people take you seriously? I think there's a bit in that too.
I've been guilty of that. That's been part of my journey, is being like,
Yeah.
no more. I'm going to unleash it. Like, I don't think, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think there is this kind of, I don't know, like overimportance put on how you look while you're doing things, which I think really only women are really subjected to. And so there is this kind of, you know, yes, it's a film, and they are focused on maybe how we're looking, but not to the extent that I feel like others do. And I think that was important for me, because if I'm jumping in the water and trying to grab something, or I'm trying to help in some way, I'm not worrying about, you know, how my hair is sitting and all of that. So,
Or like a boob flying out. That's why you're like, no, I don't want it to be like a Victoria's Secret thing. I'm trying to like do a different thing right now.
exactly.
I have to wrap, but last note on this is, while I was watching, because it's very much about sisterhood. Like I said, it's you and other women, very like attractive, very capable, very strong. I'm watching it wondering, how would this play out with like a group of 4 guys? Like, right? Wouldn't it be kind of, I'm like, would it be like a Lord of the Flies situation? Like, it's not quite the same dynamic, right? So whether it be everything we just talked about, just last thoughts on that, and like why this works and why it's a different, totally different dynamic, like what that would even be like.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know what it would be like. Just it would depend on the personalities, I guess, of those characters. But for us, what I really liked about this is that it didn't need to pitch the girls against each other. I think it really allows this film to exist in that there are these 4 strong, awesome women who have their own like skills and like really strong, distinct personalities. And for me, I think seeing how they kind of manage things together and how they process things differently, because there is this, you know, other storyline as well of the trauma and everything, having that support and that community of women was a really like interesting aspect to the story for me.
Well, Teresa, thank you so much. I will let you get on with your Australian Snuggie, and you will still look gorgeous and hot. So
Thank you
so much. It was a pleasure. Yeah. Until next time.